Ya vas, Calquituglu. Crecí en otro mundo. Nunca me preocupé. No es un capricho. Quiero que hagamos las cosas bien. Y que más este restaurante no es mío. Será tuyo. Y yo te observaré para aprender, mi amor.
Por eso estoy buscando aquí.
Déjenme sola. Oh, y gracias a Dios.
Demanda de...
Tengo para comer. Mira qué bien lo dijiste. Comer. Yo te doy de comer.
Conozco mi lugar, pero usted también.
¿Lo que pasa cuando tomas algo que no es tuyo? Espero no tener que recordártelo.
¿Cómo voy a saberlo?
¿Pero qué? ¿No eres su prometida?
Invitaremos a mucha gente. Todos vendrán de Kelkit, ¿de acuerdo? ¿Cuántas personas invitaste a la ceremonia?
Él está hablando sobre eso.
Welcome back to Jamaat Studio, where every story carries a heartbeat. Today we bring you a love story episode review, not rushed, not perfect, but deeply human. A story about timing, patience, and the kind of connection that feels written long before it begins. So let's begin the review. Where the hearts felt safe. It started on an ordinary day. No dramatic entrance, no slow motion moment, just two strangers crossing paths in a world too busy to notice small miracles. One was focused on responsibilities, living carefully, choosing logic or emotion. The other believed in feelings, in small signs, and the idea that some people arrive for a reason. The first meeting was simple. Polite words, a brief exchange, nothing extraordinary, but something lingered, a sense of familiarity that neither could explain. Days passed, life continued, yet somehow paths kept crossing. Conversation grew slightly longer, smiles became less formal, eye contact lasted a little more than necessary. It wasn't attraction at first, it was comfort. And comfort is dangerous because once you find it, you don't want to lose it. Slowly, they began sharing pieces of themselves. Not everything at once, just fragments, a childhood memory, a fear about the future, a quiet insecurity. Each confession built trust, brick by brick. There was no grand confession of love. Instead, there were moments waiting to make sure the other reached home safely, noticing when their tone sounded tired, remembering details no one else paid attention to. Love didn't arrive like a storm, it grew like sunrise, gradual, warm, undeniable. But every love story faces a test. For them, it was timing. An opportunity appeared, one that required distance, not emotional distance, but physical. A dream that demanded sacrifice. And suddenly the question wasn't, do we love each other? It was, is love enough? The conversation that followed wasn't dramatic. It was real, voices slightly shaking, words carefully chosen. I don't want to stop you from chasing your dream. I don't want to build mine without you. Silence followed, and not the painful kind, the thoughtful kind, the kind where both hearts are trying to choose wisely. In the end, they made a promise, not a promise of forever, but a promise of effort. Distance tested them. Time zones replaced spontaneous meetings. Calls replaced presence. There were misunderstandings. There were lonely nights, moments of doubt crept in quietly. But so did determination. They chose each other again and again, through weak signals and tired voices, through missed calls and delayed messages, through days and exhaustion made everything harder. And something beautiful happened. Love matured. It stopped being about excitement and became about stability. It stopped being about constant attention and became about quiet trust. When they finally reunited, it wasn't dramatic. It was peaceful. No running into each other's arms in a crowded airport. Just Just a steady walk forward, eyes locked, heart certain. Years later, when life presented new challenges, financial struggles, family pressures, personal doubts, their love didn't collapse because it had already survived the hardest test, distance and choice. They didn't love each other because it was easy. They loved each other because it felt safe, and safe to speak, safe to fail, safe to dream. And that safety became their strength. In a world where love often burns fast and fades quietly, they burned steady, not fleshy, not loud, but constant. Sometimes in the middle of ordinary evenings, they would sit quietly together, no conversation, no distraction, just presence. And in their silence there was peace, because real love is not about dramatic declarations. It is about choosing the same person, especially when life becomes complicated. It is about knowing that no matter how loud the world gets, there is no place where your heart feels at home. So, this was today's love story from Jamaat Studio, where emotions are real and connections are timeless. If you believe in love that grows slowly, survives distance, and feels like home, stay connected with Jamaat Studio, because here every story begins with a feeling and ends with a heartbeat. So, thank you so